Silence hides the loudest lies. No spin, no fear, no smoke-filled screen. Just timelines tight and questions clean. Every detail, every name. We follow facts, not online fame. When stories fracture, we slow it down. True crime unleashed, no myths, no leash. Truth first, justice loud. We stand apart from the screaming crowd. This isn't gossip. This is evidence.
What do we really know? What's going on in the Idaho case? We all hear the same thing. Oh, it couldn't have took 8 minutes to kill 4 people, especially with how gruesome the quote unquote crime scene was. And I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, how can you kill 4 people in 8 minutes when you're walking into a house of 6 people, not knowing that someone's awake or walking around? And we've all heard Dylan's claims that she heard Kaylee playing with the dog and everything else that goes on with this case. When we've heard Kathy Mabbitt state that they were all asleep, when we all know that wasn't the case. Xana was awake and on TikTok. Xana had a DoorDash. But we all go back to that one thing, by Steve G. He didn't have to go upstairs. But here's a logical assumption. What if this perp was already in the house before any of these people got home? We're all listening to the same stuff, that it was Brian. Brian did it, and which I don't believe he did it. But what if the perp was already in the house before all the girls got home? Because I mean, you got to think about that statement. He didn't have to go upstairs. What if this person was already upstairs when they got home and was lying in wait? And as well as, we also have to think about who the actual intended target was. We've all heard just a bunch of different stuff. We've all heard it was Maddie. We all heard it was Kaylee. We all heard it was Xana. Well, this is a hypothetical, guys. What if Maddie was the intended target and everybody else was collateral damage? But that doesn't come into account as why Kaylee got it the most brutal of them all. We've heard Steve Gonzalez state that the injury patterns don't match. The injury patterns don't match. And he's always claiming, don't make me be the alpha in this case. Don't make me be the alpha. Now, when he said the injury patterns don't match, that took me back to Kathy Mabbitt stating that they were all asleep, they were all stabbed, and in the PCA, it states that Xana and Ethan had 2 different injury patterns. Ethan's was sharp force injuries. Xana's was with an weapon, and you have Kaylee and Maddie upstairs that were stabbed to death. So, why the differing injury patterns? And why the innocuous statement by the medical examiner that they were all asleep, they were all stabbed, when we all know That's not the case. They all had different injury patterns. So why the cover up with that? Why the cover up with the injury patterns? That don't make no sense to me. If you're gonna come out and say they were all four stabbed, they were all four asleep, then why was Kaylee and Maddie the only ones found in the bed, and Ethan and Xana was on the second floor? Uh, Either Ethan or it was either Xana that was found on the floor in the room. And if they were all stabbed, then why did Xana have edged weapon marks and Ethan had sharp force injuries? Don't try to conflate something as being stabbed and they were all asleep when that wasn't the case at all. We've all heard that Xana was awake on TikTok, and a forensic download of her phone stated she was awake on TikTok. Then she had the DoorDash order, which was contactless, which means they just left the DoorDash at the step and left. And then you don't get me started on Dylan. You have Dylan open her door 3 times that night. Three. If they say the house was targeted, okay, the house is targeted. If the house is targeted, wouldn't that mean everybody in the house would be dead? Not just four and two people left alive. It also gets back to the drug scene right there around Moscow. Could this have been a revenge type killing? We don't know. And the whole 8 hour gap, we weren't in the house during that 8 hours to exactly know what was going on in that 8 hour gap and why 911 wasn't called until almost noon. Why the sororities and the fraternities were called first. We don't know exactly what happened in that 8 hour gap. Could there have been cleanup? Possibly. Could there have been trying to get drugs out of the house? Again, possibly. And exactly why, out of all the families, out of the Chapins, the Kernodles, the Mogans, the Laramies, and the Gonzalez family, why is the Gonzalez family still talking? The Chapins stated that they're not going to be at trial. They may be there for the sentencing, we never know. They may be there for the sentencing to give their victim impact statements. But as far as the actual trial, the Chapins have stated that they want no part of the trial. Now, the Gonzaleses are going to be there in Boise on November 7th for the hearing. They're going to use some of their GoFundMe money to travel to Boise on the 7th of next month to attend the hearing. But the Kernodles may be at trial. We don't know. No, we do know that Ben Mogan has a GoFundMe. He's not wanting an exorbitant amount like the Gonzalez family are. He's only wanting 15,000, and he's wanting to donate the rest that he doesn't use after the trial next year. He wants to donate that to the memorial for the students, Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Now we don't know if the Gonzalez family is going to do the same on that. We don't know. The Laramies, we really haven't heard from them lately, like at all. So we don't know if they're going to be at the trial. But since Karen Laramie is Maddie's mom, so more than likely she will be. But yeah, this whole 8 minutes, unaliving four people in 8 minutes, I just somehow don't see that. I don't buy that. I think it might have taken longer because we don't know if the doors were locked, like Maddie's door was locked, possibly. I mean, it is a sorority, an off-campus sorority home. So Maddie may have had her door locked, so we don't know how long it took for this perp to get in to the room, or any of this perp could have already been in the house waiting for these girls to come home. I mean, for all we know, this person could have been waiting in Maddie's room, in Maddie's closet, and we would be none the wiser. Just a little something to think about, guys. Just a little something to think about. Because we all hear the same thing every day. Oh, he did it. He did it. He did it. He did it. With no evidence, no evidence that we see and that we know of that points to him. Like none at all. Like the the cast report, we don't even know if that's going to show him in the direct area of the home, because the drive time, Maori totally screwed up the drive time. I think they only had like what, 18% of the drive time, and he didn't use the AT&T cell tower records doing the drive time. So yeah, that's one screw up on Maori. And then another bombshell that was dropped by Brett Payne during that one hearing, that they did not have any videos of Brian's car anywhere in the area of the King Road home. Like none. And even Ann Taylor asked him a second time, and he said, not to my knowledge, no, we don't." Okay, that's strike number two. So what's strike number three going to be? People finding out that they're framing an innocent man? Because we've all heard the sentiments of Latah County and Lewiston during that jury survey. If he's found innocent, they will they will riot. They will find him and kill him. They will let the families kill him. They will burn the courthouse down. They will find him and do good old boy justice, basically a lynching. And we're in Ada County. Oh, it's not such a big deal. He must not have did it. It wouldn't affect me, because you have Lewiston, Nez Perce, and Latah County that was so saturated with mainstream media bias, the mainstream media parade, that they were programmed to believe that this man is guilty, where down in Ada County, not so much. I posted this video a year ago, and a lot of stuff that I am stating in this video are coming true or have came true. The only thing that I didn't reckon on was the plea deal. But I was on top of the target on a lot of stuff in this video that I'm playing. And that was from a year ago. This man has a constitutional uh, right to face his accusers. He's innocent until proven guilty. But it's just all this bias in this case coming from the mainstream media, coming from the Gonzalez family, uh, coming from a lot of different places. It's just disheartening and sickening to see our society, when it comes to the judicial system, devolve into madness over one case. One case. Yeah, as well as the gag order. The gag order was put in place to give this case integrity, to hold people involved in this case accountable, and to also keep the everyday people from getting their hands on everything. But the longer this gag order is in place, the longer it's gonna is the longer it's gonna drive this case down the rabbit hole of hell, and it's gonna cause this case to dissolve into madness. The gag order is the only thing in this case that's causing this case to go absolutely bonkers. And then you have Judge Hitler who's decided, oh, yeah, well, we're going to keep the gag order. What he needs to do is he needs to extend the gag order to the families, namely the Gonzaleses. The Chapins are not there talking anymore. The Canodals are not there talking anymore. Neither of them. Ben Mogan has no desire. He said in an interview a long time ago that when he sees Brian's picture come on the TV, he changes the channel, and he's quite happy with only getting updates through his email. So what does that tell you about the character of Ben Mogan? He's happy just getting updates in his email. Like, he don't like the media circus that the death of his daughter has devolved into. Of course, you have the head gonzos out front just yapping away. This case, in my opinion, will be the most talked about case for the next century, possibly. I mean, we all can't study criminology for centuries. I mean, we all can't be vampires. And that comment made by a certain somebody was laughable. Uh, when, just like, oh, he was plotting this crime in his room back in Pennsylvania before he ever met Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, and Ethan. He was plotting this murder while still in Pennsylvania, while going to DeSales University, fixating on people that he didn't even know about, probably hadn't even heard of. Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. He wants to finish his schooling in criminology. So he goes to Washington State University for their PhD program because
Glass heart shatter in the middle of the night. Tiptoe screams, but she turned off the light. Masked man walking in the floorboards creak. Saw a death shadow, but she chose not to speak. Phone on silent, eyes wide shut. Truth on lockdown, mouth on shut. Four souls gone while the moon stood still. But she's a survivor, yeah, that's a tale they sell. He saw the ghost in black. He even walked right past. But she froze and faded out while the world bled out. Worry silence in the hallway, heartbeat on the floor. You saw the monster that they're not one. Truth tastes bitter when the lies get thick. Pretty little witness, but the story don't stick. Dance with danger while the innocent die. Now the whole world's asking you why.
Welcome to True Crime Unleashed. How are you guys doing tonight? Uh, what I want to talk about is the Dylan interview. She was just basically she was all over the place in this interview. She did verify that uh, Ethan and Xana were snorting Adderall, and then she laid it in that Kaylee also did Adderall, but not all the time. It was a weird freaking interview. And then if it wasn't one lie after another lie after another lie, she said that she was at the memorial service for all four of the victims, which was a lie. She was not there. Somebody read a statement by her and Bethany, even though she turns around and says in this police interview that she was at the memorial service, and she had never met the victims' family members. Yeah, it was all a lie.
Very much.
Not really. I didn't even know them until I went to the memorial that was for all four of them. She didn't really I never knew their names. Still don't know their names. Never really talked about them. Really, she just said that remember the one thing she said was yeah, her parents would pay for everything, and she did everything by herself. So that's why me and I was oh, she's the motherly one and the very got her whole life together because she had an insane job that she was able to ride a Range Rover.
She had an insane job where she could buy a Range Rover. See, and she's also lying because she talked to Steve Gonzalez about what she knew, because Steve had asked her, "What is up with this girl?" And through this entire police interview, it felt like the police was leading her, completely through the interview. It felt like that they were leading her.
And Kaylee's the only one you responded to,
Yeah.
and that was the Winco incident. And then Murphy as well, and thought she saw a shadow of someone.
Yeah.
Where would that have been? that shadow? Where would she have seen that at?
I think from what I remember is like when she took Murphy out. So like if your back's at the sliding door and you look to your left, there's like those bushes over there.
Yeah, with a little
That
bit of
always freaked
retaining
me
wall.
out. Yeah, and there's like a neighborhood behind there. I think that's what she was talking about. But I don't. Maybe it was like in front of her. But when I thought about like when I envisioned it myself, I was thinking that backside because that always freaked me out. That's why I got
Isn't
scared.
that where your window backs
Yeah,
up
that's
to?
what freaks me out a lot. Is like
Okay.
someone could just walk out from the neighborhood and go right to my window. That's why that window was almost always locked because it really freaked me out.
Okay.
If you look at her room from the side of the house, there's that street that goes by, and it goes up at an angle going to the Queen Road Apartments. So how could somebody look into her room or get into her room if it's going up at an angle? That's just one of many lies she told in this interview. And yeah, she would have got torn up on the witness stand. She really would have. And she even mentions about locking that sliding glass door, and then admits that the door was broke and never locked. Yeah, I locked the door, which I thought locked. Apparently, it never did. So, why in most of these interviews she keeps changing her story? Like this was like I believe the fifth interview that she did with the MPD, and she changed her story in like numerous times during this interview. And she mentioned Jack coming over, and this was after Kaylee had broken up with him, and Kaylee had stated that it was mutual, that they both wanted it, even though there was that rumor that Kaylee was dating around, and Jack was, I think he was in a relationship by the end of this. And there was no hard feelings. He still came over, hung out, and she keeps saying through most of this interview. Kaylee had just been kind of talking to me. I don't know if they got back together uh, ever, like officially made it something, but I knew she would stay over at his place. Now, I'm not sure she's talking uh, about Jack D on this, because there was a rumor Jack was dating somebody else, maybe maybe about a few weeks after Kaylee had broken up with him, and Kaylee said it was mutual. But Dylan went on to say, we would pick her up every now and then, and they ended up talking, but I don't know how serious it was. Okay, didn't ever come over and just hang out with Kaylee or hang out. So this is clearly another person that she's talking about. She's not talking about Jack D. Yeah, because the statement right here, didn't ever come over and just hang out with Kaylee or hang out. So that's clearly talking about somebody else Kaylee was either dating to or talking to, and she has stayed the night over at this person's house because they had picked her up from this person's house. Now, if Kaylee had a Range Rover, why would she be needing picked up from this person's house? That's my question. if you have a vehicle, why would you need to be picked up from this person's house? Because if it was Jack D, he has a vehicle, he could have dropped her off back at the house. Instead, uh, they had to go pick her up. So clearly it wasn't Jack D that she was staying the night with. And they talk about the parties, and they talk about the noise complaints and disturbance calls. And this is what kind of made me kind of do a double take. When the officer asked, asked about the disturbance calls and people running out the back door of that house on numerous occasions, so on and so forth. So, who was running out the back of the house that the cops saw? And then Dylan went on to say, they're like, well, yeah, but we weren't arrested. And I'm like, yeah, good point. Obviously, we had the cops come to our house. So, who are these people running out the back door of the house? Is it the same people that we saw around 3:12 in the morning running away from the house, being caught, a very glimpse of body cam being caught running towards Sigma Chi? That's a good thought. Who were these people running out the back of the house, and where were they running to? And the cops asked her, include drug use, drug transactions, excessive use of alcohol, use of prescription medications not prescribed. And this is Dylan to them, drinking, driving, etc. And we have some Adderall use. This is actually the cop talking. That they have, they know about the Adderall use there in the house, and they know about the drug use and the drug transactions going on at the house, even though we were told that there was no drug use going on, there was no drug transactions going on. But I seem to think it kind of funny that as far as the toxicology report goes, Kathy Mabbitt stated it was a non-factor, that the toxicology was a non-factor. Well, if there's Adderall use going on in the house by Xana, Ethan, and possibly Kaylee, shouldn't that make the toxicology report a factor? Because the way it sounds to me is these people are trying to cover up the fact that the victims were into drugs by saying that they weren't into drugs, and by saying that there was no drug connection, this and that. And even Dylan says here, we're aware of, Xana. That was Xana and Ethan. They would do it sometimes, talk about Adderall. Xana would, and be like, oh, it helps me stay awake longer for drinking. Do you know if, this is the cop talking, do you know if it was prescribed? And Dylan goes, I don't know for sure, because I know they don't always say that that she feels like she has ADHD. So I don't know for sure if she was prescribed it. I am aware of that or not. And then I know Kaylee talked about it once or twice. But then Maddie was like, Hell no. Never for what I know, and I don't think Kaylee used it that often. So she's basically stating that Kaylee used Adderall, but not that often, or she could have been talking about something else, like Katie's report that Kaylee used cocaine. So, which did Kaylee use? Did she use cocaine? Did she use Adderall? Dylan's basically telling us what we were told in the beginning, but everyone was like, "Oh no, it's not true. They never did drugs. They never did this. They never did that." But we know that they drank a lot. We know that they partied a lot because yes, they were college students, and all college students party a lot, especially in the Greek life. But now we got this roommate coming out and basically backing up everything that we've been saying from day one about the drug connection to the house. She's stating that Xana and Ethan were doing Adderall. Kaylee might have done Adderall, but not all that much. Or was Kaylee doing something else? Because Katie said that she knew Kaylee was doing coke. So exactly what is going on in this case? There's a clear drug connection to the home. We've had Katie talk about it. We've had, and now we're having now we're having Dylan talk about it. Brian had no connection to the home. There was no connection to the victims. There was no motive. So exactly what in the world are they trying to hide? Because we've heard from day one, including Kathy Mabbitt and Bill Thompson. There was no drug use in the home. There was no this in the home. The toxicology report don't matter according to Kathy Mabbitt. But clearly, guys, it does matter. The toxicology report does matter because you now, after all this is over with, you have Dylan stating that there was drug use in the home. You had Katie stating that there was drug use in the home. And we've heard that there was like $100,000 in pills flushed. So if there is no drug connection, like I have got a bombshell tonight in the Idaho 4 investigation. Mr. Brian Koberger did not do it. I know who did it, and I'm going to show you guys tonight who did it.
The physical description of the Moscow killer was revealed to me in downloaded information from the Universal Consciousness early this morning, and I would like to provide that information to Moscow Police, Idaho State Police, local authorities, FBI, and any organization that is working to solve this mystery. In my vision, the downloaded information became very clear. He is 21 to 22 years old with a birthday coming soon. He is a young male who is at the early stages of becoming a mass serial killer. He has killed several times before, including pets, animals. He is a psychopath, sociopath, suffering immensely from mental illness and negative diverse energy. He is living in a state of fear. The visual images took me to a place about 2.5 hours east of Moscow, Idaho, into a mountain region. I believe that mountain region would be the Salmon Mountains, where he is held up, hoping everything will blow away because he doesn't want to get caught.
Just wait, Amy.
3 of the 4 victims, and he was at a bar earlier that morning drinking with 2 of them. This was premeditated murder, and he will do it again if not stopped very quickly. He entered through the second story, and he killed for the pleasure and the joy of killing. I hope that this information will be helpful, and if this information is, let me share this with you. I see the letter J and the letter M as being prominent to the name of this mass serial killer.
Who do we know with the letters J and the letter M? Yes, Amy, you did hit that right on the head. Jack. But who's the letter M? No, not Jenna. I believe it was Jack. Jack Showalter. But he wasn't alone.
What was your question again? What do I think about what?
What this gentleman had to say on who the real killer is.
I think it's possible. I mean, Jack Showalter has always seemed suspect to me, especially with how he had mutilated animals before. I mean, okay, yeah, he would plenty of pictures of him hunting, so he has the skills. We know he has the skills. But then, like the psycho kind of part, I mean, anybody who's going to mutilate animals, which it's on record, so
yeah,
it's not disputed. And while he wasn't caught for the old couples, I think he said it was Buddy.
Yeah.
It's very possible that he had done that because he had done other animals before.
Like the coyotes?
Yeah. So I always thought that he could be playing some kind of part. And when we always talk about the frat boys, then, it always seemed like he could have been one of them, and then went off to the cabin. Because I always think the timeline is off.
Yeah.
I don't believe the 4 o'clock thing.
Yeah, this whole timeline is off by an hour. Yeah, I actually think that the crime took place around 3 o'clock because of the if you look at the mad text and calls to Jack D around between 2:50 and 2:54. They wouldn't be doing that unless they were in some type of trouble. Because
I don't know. Okay, let's break down how it would play out if it was him like this, because I can't say for certain that what this guy's saying is exactly what happened. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's possible. So if Jack Showalter and somebody else, like this Matt person or whatever, did this, then who cleaned it up? How long did it take to clean up? I still don't believe whoever did it, that Delaney and Bethan were in that house. I think that they knew something was going to happen, and so they left. And they had this story about just they just figured it, they put, say, some kind of vague intruder story, and nobody would really look at all the evidence to figure out that that wasn't the case. But I don't think there's any way that their story is truthful at all.
No, because from day one we've been told one thing, that there was no drug connection to the home. The kids didn't do drugs, which now is coming out from Kaylee's cousin Katie, that Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan used cocaine, and then it came out in that like fifth or sixth interview with Dylan that Ethan and Xana was using Adderall. And
Right.
she mentioned that Kaylee did it on occasion, but not all the time.
Mhm.
So we've been lied to from day fucking one about everything. So what would be the best way to even more lie? Flip the timeline from three to 4 to 4 to 5.
Mhm. I, I definitely think anywhere between 2:30 and 3:30, and 3 o'clock's right in the middle of that. So, because when one thing that sticks with me is Kaylee and Maddie both trying to call Jack DeCore. And it seemed, I only have two reasons. Now, if they left voicemails or something and those are on his phone and the police collected that evidence, I don't know it, right? But it seems to me that the only two reasons that they would have to be calling him like that, it's not a booty call, but either the dog was not in the house and they were calling to see if he had the dog, or something was going down and they were scared and they hadn't been attacked yet, but they were on the verge of being attacked.
Yeah.
And that was around 2:30 to 2:40 something. Was 2:49 the last call?
It was 2:54, I believe.
Something, yeah. So right around 3, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But then that would also mean that something maybe it started downstairs. And that's what
because when the cops arrived on scene, they actually found Kaylee's blood on that beer pong table. Well, some of Kaylee's blood on the beer pong table, and it was diluted.
Diluted because it was trying to be cleaned, maybe. I don't know. I don't think that beer pong table was there when when the assaults happened. I think that it was placed there after cleaning everything up. I don't see any way that table was right there in that doorway.
Yeah. What I honestly believe is, the table was there, but it was in like a different position, because yes, they had a party there. They had a party there Friday night, and that table, I did some research on it, weighs about 35 pounds. And the table that he used weighed 35 pounds.
So live scan.
Yeah, I see that.
Nice to have you here. That we have different opinions.
Yes.
Everybody's welcome to share, and I appreciate that. You're saying you're not. You're saying what you think without like degrading other people, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Could Coatberger be involved in some way? I think most of us here, I mean, some of us might think he's completely 100% innocent.
Yeah.
I think he could be involved, but I don't think there's anything evidence. I haven't seen evidence related to the crimes themselves.
Yeah.
That links him.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Even Thompson said there was no connection to the house or the victims. There was no evidence of stalking, Brian stalking the victims. There's no motive. But yet you have people saying, "Oh yeah, well he was stalking. No, he wasn't," because the prosecutor himself in open court said there was no evidence of stalking.
Mhm. Well, and I think if you want to look at him, you need to look at him around 3 o'clock, not 4 o'clock. You know,
Yeah.
if it was his car at 4 o'clock, then that would exonerate him, in my opinion, because
Yeah.
the 4 o'clock timeline is BS.
Yeah. Because even Midget Payne stated that because the street lights were orange, it made the silver car look tan.
Mhm.
So if the orange lights can make a silver car look tan, what would a black car look like under orange lights? It would look white.
And for me, I don't even care about all that. I know there's been a lot of people that have done a lot of research and testing and discussion and everything about the color of the car and stuff like that. But I think that car at 4 o'clock is completely irrelevant, as I don't think the crimes happened at that time. I don't
No.
think any single person could have done the crimes according to the autopsy reports in 7 minutes. I don't think any single person could have inflicted all of those injuries in 7 minutes.
No. And as well as they're saying there was experimental wounds. And that would add on to the timeline, not take away from the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. You know, if it's like that you had wounds that were just, enraged and stuff, but then you had the experimental wounds, meaning that, like, yeah, they had time to do things that they didn't need to do to actually kill the person.
Yeah, because you have Olivia coming out saying that she had a sit down meeting alone with Bill Thompson, and she said the only autopsy photos she was really concerned with was Kaylee's. She wasn't concerned with Maddie, Ethan, or Xanath, but she called Maddie like a sister. So why wouldn't you be concerned with Maddie's and not just Kaylee's?
Well, I mean, in answer to that, I mean, if you're talking with Bill Thompson and you're trying to get the the autopsy, there could be like legal reasons that she's not family to the other people. So if she was trying to get all four, then he might just deny the whole thing. So it does kind of make sense to me. It's like, look, in that case, I would say I don't care about the other ones, even though in your heart you care about them. But just as getting access to Kaylee's autopsy report, you would say, I don't care about the other ones. Just give me the one that I'm related to.
Hey, Canadian cat lady.
Hey, another cat lady. You see my shirt has cats.
Yeah, I see it. But I mean, it's everything we've been told from day one, and everything we've been told from day one is an all-out, absolute lie and fabrication.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the no drugs being the no drug connection to everything else, and yeah, there's clearly a drug connection, because if there wasn't, then why would Katie and Dylan state there was?
Yeah. Well, everything Dylan says, you got to take with a grain of salt, because like I said, I don't believe she was there at all. I don't think there's any way they were in the house.
Canadian cat says, love the shirt, Maven.
Oh, thank you. Oh yeah, now I see it. A friend of mine gave it to me as a gift.
Yeah, my wife got me for an early Christmas gift. It's a Nightmare Before Christmas hoodie, and on the front it has Jack Skellington's face, and it says, "I'm your worst nightmare." And on the back it has Jack Skellington in his full form, and it says, "I'm your worst nightmare" along the top.
Oh wow, yeah, boy, that's been out a lot of years.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like my kid. Was it like 30 years almost? Because my kids were little when that came out, and they're like all in their mid to late 30s now. Oh, my daughter just turned 40.
Yeah, my daughter will be 11, and she I introduced it to her the other night, and she said the only part she don't like is Oogie Boogie.
Boogie boogie.
But I mean, what are some of your concerns when it comes to this case? Because I know that you talk about it sometimes over on your channel. Some of my concerns is I'm tired of the lies.
Oh yeah, I mean it's clear that there have been a lot of lies on law enforcement. Well, to say law enforcement side, whether it's the attorneys or the police or the FBI or whatever, it's and then when the sheath came out, oh, give me a break, and even the amount. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, on my channel, and I just kind of revised my true crime playlist, so it should be somewhere towards the top of the playlist in true crime. I did a video that I shared pictures of an incident that happened in my house, where someone was, but they lived, but they had one really bad, deep, I'll just say cut, in their leg, and some minor cuts that still needed stitches, but that weren't as deep. Right?
Yeah.
There's only one really deep one, and the amount of, I don't know for your channel, you want me to say fluid that was in the room. No, I go through in detail and I tell the whole story. Right?
Yeah.
And I show pictures. So I don't know if YouTube has like a graphic warning thing up at the beginning of it or whatever.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, if you want to see the pictures and hear the whole story, then you go check it out. But basically, there's like one photo of fluid on the bed, which is more fluid from one wound than we see on the beds, especially Kaylee and Edward. It's like one spot of blood where her head would have been on a pillow, but didn't her mother say that it, or stepmom, whatever, say that she was kind of propped up?
No, that was Kaylee's actual. I think that was Kaylee's actual mom. It could have been her stepmom, but yeah,
Steve.
Yeah, Christy.
Yeah, she said, and it was like, oh my God, she let that out. That adds a whole new layer. Like maybe she was backing up and got in the corner, and or whatever. But there's nothing on the walls there. I mean, it's just one.
Truth cuts through the static. Silence hides the loudest lies. No spin, no fear, no smoke-filled screen. Just timelines tight and questions clean. Every detail, every name, we follow facts, not online fame. When stories fracture, we slow it down. True crime unleashed. No myths, no leash. True first, justice loud. We stand apart from the screaming crowd. This isn't gossip. This is evidence.